take 3 of this video. I have tried to record this 3 times now, and I'm pretty sure J.K. Rowling has a voodoo doll of me because she doesn't think I exist. That's right, folks. Welcome back, book buddies. Today we are going to be talking about J.K. Rowling, everybody's favorite turf extraordinaire. Sunday was International Asexuality Day, and little Miss Joanne discovered that and had this to say. Happy International Fake Oppression Day to everyone who wants complete strangers to know they don't fancy a shag. Billionaires with all their too much time on their hands. Joanne, you need a hobby. You have all that money and you live in a castle, and all you do is get on Twitter and hate stuff. People in particular. Now, it was nice that you gave our trans brothers and sisters a break, but this take is trash. Now, that being said, when I first saw this, I was mad. I am asexual, and I grew up in a very staunchly religious family. I, of course, thought it was broken. And when I was finally able to break free of that religion, it was fantastic because then I was able to discover who I was. And I came to discover that I'm not broken, that asexuality is actually a thing. And it's not just that you don't fancy a shag. It's very much a spectrum that is very, it can go from no sexual attraction to some sexual attraction to sexual attraction after you really get to know someone. It just varies, and there's like this infinite number of combinations just depending on what other sexualities you are. I will link down resources below if you are interested. But then I got to thinking that, it's very isolating to be in a demographic that is so small. There's only 1% of us in the entire world. And being a book channel, that got me to thinking about where do we find this connection and where can we learn more? And obviously that's books. So today I want to walk through several different genres and give you a few books each, and in each genre, of asexual representation in each of these. And of course, down below, I will link even more because I found so many that I can't even list in this video, or it would be ages and ages long. So let's get into it. So first up, we are looking at one of my favorite genres, which is the romance genre. And in that genre, I have 3 books that are on the ace spectrum, one of which I've read, 2 are on my TBR. And the first one is Looking for Love in All the Haunted Places by Claire Kahn. I read this in March, and I adored this book. It was a surprise to me, actually, that the main character was Ace. I didn't know that. And I was very happy to see that. This book, the main character, Lucky, she gets into a relationship with Maverick, who's the main character. She has to explain to him what it means to be ace and what that looks like in a relationship, and they have to communicate to each other what that will look like going forward. And I thought that was done so well, and the conflict that a person who is not ace may come up against when trying to understand those concepts. I thought that was really great. Also made me feel really seen. I'll put timestamps down below that if you don't want any spoilers, you can skip ahead. But there's a couple of pages here that were really great. And I won't read them all. There's just a couple of things that Lucky said in this book that I thought were just spot on. Because people always say stuff like, I don't care if you don't want to have sex, or that's not a real sexuality, because everyone feels that way at some point. But that's not how it works. It makes me feel like I'm not allowed to have a spot in the conversation. What I say doesn't matter, so I just keep it to myself. I really discount how important acknowledging attraction, or lack thereof, can be in a relationship. They can pretend like it's not until they're blue in the face, but at the end of the day, someone's going to end up getting hurt way worse than if they'd been honest and communicated in the first place. I know that they're scared of being seen as superficial or shallow because it reads like a moral failing. I understand where they're coming from, but I was rarely extended the same courtesy. Those two quotes, I think, sum up what it feels like to be asexual and trying to be in a relationship, or even just trying to have other people understand what it means to be asexual. I thought that was absolutely fantastic. So I highly recommend this book. I rated it 4.25 stars. Another book that I actually have by Claire Kahn that I didn't realize was by her is The Romantic Agenda. This book is about Joy, who goes away with her best friend, who, it's like a my best friend's wedding type of situation almost, where he gets engaged and then she's like, oh, but I've loved him my whole life. And so she gets into a fake relationship with a man named Fox. And I'm very intrigued to see where this goes, as she's asexual. I think that'll be, but it sounds really, really fun. One that was really popular last year everywhere for spooky season that dives into the demi portion of the ace spectrum from the male perspective that I have on my TBR that I was not aware of is Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. This is about Lark and Callum, and Lark loses her husband and up and moves to Ireland and moves next door to Callum, and he is supposed to inherit the family business, which is the mortuary, but he has to be married by the time he's 35. So of course Lark takes it upon herself to be like, well, I'm going to find you a wife. And from what I understand, what I've read, that it is stated very clearly, like in the book, that he is demisexual. If that is not true, take what I say with a grain of salt, because that is just for my research. I have not read it yet. But I am really looking forward to this and to see how that plays out. This is one that has sounded really, really cute, and I'm excited to read this. A couple that I found that are not on my physical TBR, but may end up on my TBR from the library. I was very surprised to learn that Allie Hazelwood has a couple of books where they are either demisexual or aro and ace. One that the main character is said to be demisexual, though from what I understand, those words are never really used in the book, is the love hypothesis. And knowing that kind of makes me wonder if that is something I want to read. And the other is love theoretically, where there is a side character that it is explicitly stated on the page that he is aro and ace. So that's aromantic and asexual. So I'm very, very intrigued by that. So I may have to check those out from the library. And then there are two that I am waiting for the holiday season to look into, but that I am putting on my list. And I'll just mention their titles real quick. One is Kiss Her Once for Me by Allison Cochran, which I heard a bit about last year. It was a Book of the Month pick, I believe. And then one by Hannah Bonham Young, which I have a couple of her books on my TBR, so this one intrigues me, called Set the Record Straight. It's a sapphic romance, and one of the female main characters is also asexual, and I want to look into that when Christmas time is closer. Okay, next up is one where I found a lot of representation, and that would be the fantasy genre. Now, with this genre, I have several books on my TBR. One is Belle Revolte or Belle Revolte. I'm not sure how you say that, but that's right, by Lindsay Miller. And this is a YA fantasy. And this is French-inspired. It's kind of sort of like The Prince and the Pauper almost. But it is where they swap lives, one to become a physician's assistant and one to become a trained in divination. And they help to, in a rebellion, to end a war caused by magic and greed. So this one sounds really good. And for a while, I wasn't in my fantasy era, and I've just recently gotten back into it. So this is one I think I might get into really soon. It sounds very good. Another one that I picked up is Tarnished Are the Stars. This one I've heard mixed things about, but it is a YA science fantasy novel where it follows 3 queer teens in a post-Earth world who have to team up to save the planet. So, but yeah, like I said, I've heard mixed things, but I'm intrigued enough to watch it, to read it. It sounds very interesting. So those two I knew what they were when I bought them. That's what I was seeking them out for. One I didn't, but it is a pleasant surprise. I bought because I was looking for more from this author. And that is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. Now this one I think is one that a lot of people know, maybe, that one of the characters, I think it's just asexual. But it focuses on 2 characters, Victor and Eli, that they were best friends and now they're mortal enemies. And it is a duology, but from what I understand, there's a 3rd book coming out soon. Soon to be a trilogy. We shall see. But I really like V.E. Schwab. I loved The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. So I'm very interested to see what else she does, because from what people say, she's just really, really amazing. But I found so many. And I'm going to have links down below of all of the sources I found. A few that stood out to me are, this one in particular that I saw on a lot of lists is Beyond the Black Door by A.M. Strickland. And this is a YA dark fantasy from what I understand. And this is about Kaikeyi, and she is what they call a soul walker. and her mother is murdered. So she opens a door within her own soul and encounters Vane, which is a mysterious figure linked to the darkness, leading to a complex story of court intrigue, romance, and exploration of identity, where she's exploring her own asexuality. That one sounds so good and so totally going on my library TBR if I can hunt that down. Another one that is going on my library TBR is Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel. I hope I said those right. I apologize if I pronounced them incorrectly. But this is a novel that is based in Hinduism, and the author has said that this character was written from an aromantic, asexual perspective, and it just sounds so good. So what it talks about is it reimagines the story of Ramayana from the perspective of Kaikeyi, the queen who traditionally portrayed as villainous for exiling Rama. Do I know what any of that means? No. But will I learn it through this book? Yes. And it's going to be amazing. I've heard really good things about this book. So, very excited. And I have one last one to add to this list, and that is actually one I finished last week. And it's a novella, and it's the first book in the Wayward Children series by Shanann McGuire, called Every Heart a Doorway. And this is about children who they don't feel at home, they don't fit into this world, and so doors will appear to them that take them to other worlds that do fit them. But for whatever reason, they end up back in this world, and so they go to this school, and this is the school particularly for children who are wanting to go back. And Nancy is the newest student, and she is explicitly, it is said, very plainly asexual, and it is treated so well and with such tact on the page. But she's not the only one at the school. Like, there is a trans male student. It's so diverse. I thought this book was fantastic, and it's a shorty. Like, the book, I think, is less than 200 pages. The audiobook, I read the audiobook, and it was 4 hours, less than 4 hours, but it was really, really good. Shifting gears a little bit, let's get into horror, because, you know, who doesn't love a little blood, guts, gore, possibly murder? I have a couple on my TBR already. One, again, I knew because I personally sought it out, and another I found in my research was a complete surprise, and I thought that was so cool. But the one I found that I sought out, I actually heard from Katie Colson here on YouTube. I follow her. I like her videos. She's fun. That's Sawkill Girls. So this is a YA horror, and this is about 3 girls who are the Sawkill Girls, and that's as much as I know about it, and that's as much as I am going to know about it going in. I like to go in blind. But I do know that Zoe is the one who is, she is asexual and biromantic. So, and is having like something with her relationship in this book. So I'm really intrigued to see how that plays out in here. So that will be interesting. The other one, this one was a surprise to me. I got this last year just because it sounded good. But that is Bury Your Gays by Chuck Tingle. This book, it turns out that the main character, Misha, he's asexual. He's a gay, asexual man. I've been really intrigued by this book because I'm like, okay, he works in Hollywood and he refuses to kill off his gay character. And then somehow that puts a target on his back. How? I'm really looking forward to that even more now. Ones that I don't have, though, that I found, there were quite a few once I started to dig in. A couple that I saw, one was from Paul Tremblay that isn't mentioned often. It's like kind of in passing, but Survivor Song, and the narrator is asexual. and it's a post-apocalyptic world, and with a rabies epidemic, and she's helping her friend bring in a new life into the world, and so it's this juxtaposition of asexuality versus new life and birth and all of that. So, okay. I've not had any luck with Paul Tremblay books, so I don't know if I'll be reading this one. Maybe. I don't know. So one that I'm really interested in, though, is T. Kingfisher's What Moves the Dead, which is a take on Fall of the House of Usher, which I just watched that a couple months ago on Netflix, and it was really good. So now I'm like super intrigued. And in this, the protagonist, Alex, is a non-binary asexual soldier. So very cool. So not just asexuality, but taking on binary gender and just kind of going beyond. I'm really, really intrigued to see what, and I've heard nothing but really good things about What Moves the Dead. Like, I don't know. I'm sure there are people out there who don't like it, but I've not really heard bad things about this book. So, but with that, I hope I was able to provide you some good book recommendations, maybe some that you've read, maybe some that you haven't, that pique your interest and that can open the door to understanding asexuality. And if you are on the ace spectrum, help you know that you're not alone. You are valid. And it doesn't matter what anybody says. And you are amazing. And don't you ever forget it. These books are here to tell us that we aren't alone and that our experiences are real, even if others don't get it. If you like this video, leave me a heart down below, the purple heart, if you stuck around this long. And subscribe if you're new. Okay, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.